Major League Baseball presented by Humana, and it is a glorious Easter weekend Saturday in Cincinnati. And oh, by the way, today is opening day for the youngsters. The Reds started this a couple of years ago. It's unbelievably popular. All the players came through in a parade before the game in the big block party downtown. Good stuff. It's game 2 of 162 as the Cincinnati Reds host the Washington Nationals. And hi again, everybody, alongside the former Red Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Tough one yesterday. Got beat 2-0 by Scherzer and company. Homer Bailey pitching very well. And the Reds would certainly be excited for a similar kind of start from their very talented young right-hander, Luis Castillo.
Kind of appropriate on Kids Day that we run out a very young kid on the mound. And Luis Castillo certainly not long in the tooth as far as a major league experience or in age. But boy, does he have some kind of an arm and a 3-pitch combination that is as good as you're going to find anywhere. His fastball runs into the high 90s. He's got a nice slider. That changeup is his main pitch, and it's getting better and better all the time. He's one guy that you look at and you say, you know what, greatness is on its way.
If you like power pitching, today is your kind of day.
Well, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the batter's box, because there's going to be temperatures rising on both sides of the plate today. These guys both average as high a fastball as you're going to see around the major leagues. Luis Castillo last year ranked first at 97.5, and not too far behind him is a fireballer, Steven Strasburg.
Boy, and to think this guy's a number 2 in the starting rotation.
It really is amazing. I mean, he's always in the Cy Young discussion, but the thing that has held Strasburg back over the years is the ability to log a lot of innings. He finally got over 170 innings last year, but when he's on the mound, he can be as dominant as they come.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in down along the Reds dugout on the field with Jim Day. Scooter Gennett continuing his capital punishment.
Award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Hey guys, meteorologist Brandon Orr here from Local 12. It feels so much nicer out there at the ballpark today versus yesterday when we stayed into the 40s. It's pretty chilly in the shade. A big difference now, closer to average. We're into the lower 60s, warming up as we go throughout the game. Now we're starting out with some sunshine. That's what we have around right now in between some of the clouds. But as we get close to final out, we'll have to watch out for a couple of showers trying to sneak in from the west. If they do move near the ballpark, they should be fairly light, so I don't think it's going to cause any problems. Enjoy the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Beautiful day right now, and the Reds are looking for more offense. Blanked yesterday by Max Scherzer, couldn't dent the plate, and really having trouble getting hits outside of Cincinnati-born Scooter Gennett. He was only 4 for 4 yesterday, a double, and when you consider the rest of the team was 3 for 31 against the Nationals pitching staff, well, Scooter certainly had himself an opening day. And for whatever reason, the Washington Nationals are one of those teams. Check out our IGS Bringing the Energy. Gennett, career versus the Nationals, which spans 27 games now. His average is .350, highest for him versus any National League team. 6 home runs, tied for the most versus any team, and 23 RBIs, most versus any non-National League Central team. So Scooter back in there today. The Reds hoping to even up this 3-game set at a game apiece. It's game 2 of the 2018 season. Kids opening day at the Yard. Tom and Chris are next with the call.
Castillo gets the ball in start number 1 of 2018. Castillo, you may remember, came over to the Reds in January of 2017 in a deal with the Florida Marlins. At the time, he was their 5th ranked prospect, and he leaped right to the number 1 prospect in the Reds organization in less than a calendar year.
I still can't get over that trade, Tom. The Florida Marlins had a guy that throws 100 miles an hour. Now, his control wasn't all that great coming up in the minor leagues. They weren't sure whether he's ever going to be able to figure out the breaking ball, but they tried to trade him not once but twice, and the Reds finally were able to wrestle him away from the Marlins, and boy, oh boy, did they end up on top in that particular trade. Going the other way was Dan Straley, who is still on the Marlins, although I think starting the season on the disabled list. But Castillo, healthy, throwing the ball hard. You won't find a delivery out there where It seemingly is so effortless, but the results are so electric. It is really nice to watch this young man pitch.
Take a look at the Washington Nationals starting lineup today. It'll begin with the Springfield, Ohio native Eaton, then Rendon and Harper. Adams, Kendrick, and Turner in the middle. Goodwin, Wieters, Strasburg, the latter third. And the first pitch fastball misses, and we're underway. Eaton started the game in the first inning with a little flare into right center field and wound up scoring the first run of the game in that opening inning. Nationals going on to win 2-0 behind the pitching quartet of Scherzer, Kinsler, Ryan Madsen, and Doolittle to close it out. 1-1 to Eaton. Pulled the string. There's that changeup, Chris. You talked about that with Castillo getting the rundown on all his weaponry in the pregame show.
Well, I think he could get by with it, just the 1-2 pitches, which is fastball, changeup, but he's also got a very nice slider.
Lined into left center field on a 1-2 pitch, and Eaton aboard to begin the game for a second straight day.
Well, Eaton is just has really come along as a major league player. He's a great table setter. He gets on base about 36% of the time. He learned from the previous changeup he got, and that pitch, even though it could have been outside, was about thigh high, and that's why he was able to get it into left field for a base hit.
I told you yesterday that Eaton not only grew up in Springfield, he played collegiately at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, just about an hour ride from downtown Cincinnati. So now the star third baseman Anthony Rendon, 1 of 4 in the game yesterday, coming off the best year of his major league career. Had 25 home runs, knocked in 100 runs, had 41 doubles, did Rendon.
Kind of interesting, really, when you look at the lineup the Nationals have. They have somewhat underrated the first 2 players. Eaton, I think, is an underrated player. I think Rendon is an underrated third baseman. Then, of course, you get a guy in the number 3 slot, and Bryce Harper, who gets a lot of accolades for being one of the best players in all of baseball.
And you look up and down their lineup to Dave Martinez, their first-year manager, first time he's ever managed a team either in the minor leagues or the major leagues, and he has Matt Adams down at first base today, and he has Brian Goodwin out in center field, and that is primarily due to the fact that both of those guys are really good fastball hitters. Baseball term, the jargon you'll hear and we heard from the Nationals clubhouse today is high velo hitters, high velocity hitters. We know Castillo has plenty of that. Now, the one thing the Nationals did do the 2 times Castillo faced them last year is they made him work. You know, Castillo only walked 47 or 32 batters in 89 innings. He'd like to bring that number down, but in his 2 starts against Washington, he walked 9 batters in 11 innings. 3-1 on Rendon, and that throw will send Eaton back to the bag.
And of course, you have to consider that the first start that he had against him at the Nationals was his major league debut, so he had a lot of nerves going along with everything else. He walked 5 in 5 innings that game, gave up a couple of home runs, and Reds ended up losing that game 6-5.
3-1 pitch, and there's ball 4. The first 2 Nationals have reached here in the opening inning against Castillo, a single and a walk. Look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. No Billy Hamilton today. Schebler moves over to center. Duvall starts after not starting yesterday, and Winker goes from left field to right field. Along the infield, the same quartet. And again, the Gold Glove winning catcher Tucker Barnhart hanging the signs. 2-1, nobody out for Bryce Harper.
Yeah, here's the situation for Harper, too. He loves to hit the fastball. I guarantee you, he was looking fastball in his first at bat yesterday against Homer Bailey. He'll be hunting a fastball here in this at bat, too.
Harper 2 of 3, also drew a walk yesterday. Pulled the string on him, and a little dribbler that will roll foul.
I don't think you're going to see Castillo shaking off a lot from Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. I mean, Barnhart has really gotten the confidence of this pitching staff, the way he grew into the #1 role behind the plate last year. And I think that he's the general kind of conducting the whole thing right now. And Castillo is going to throw what Barnhart wants. And that was a great call to start him off with something off speed.
Eaton the runner at second. Rendon over at first. 0-1 on Bryce Harper, and that misses down and in. A ball and a strike. Harper played in just 111 games a season ago. He got hurt when he slipped rounding a wet first base bag and did not return until the final 5 games of the regular season leading into the playoffs. Two years ago, he was the National League's most valuable player, and it's been talked about and written about that Harper will be a free agent at the end of this year, and he is only 25 years young.
Well, remember when he made his major league debut, he was 19 years old.
Castillo ahead of Bryce Harper at 1 ball 2 strikes. Bouncing ball to Votto. Down to second for 1. And that's all they're going to get.
Well, you see how deep Joey Votto is playing right there. You know, when you talk about double play depth, it sometimes has also to do with the corner infielders, not just the guys up the middle. And he was a couple of steps deep right there. They wanted to get as much coverage as possible. And that's the reason why they weren't able to turn 2, because it took 1 extra bounce by the time it got to Votto, just by where they had him positioned.
Brian Price wanting to take a look at that call over at first base, and he's decided not to challenge the ruling safe made by the first base umpire Marvin Hudson. James Hoy the umpire at second. Jeff Kellogg down at third, and Quinn Walcott calls the balls and strikes. They're on the corners with 1 away for Matt Adams. Pull the string on him. Strike 1.
We saw a lot of that out of Max Scherzer yesterday. First pitch changeups. They were talking about that in the Reds clubhouse. The advanced scouts that have been here watching the Reds and Nationals were talking about that at lunch today. It's a great pitch if you can throw it for a strike or make it look like a strike.
Adams spent the first month plus with St. Louis, the only organization for which he had ever played for last year. He hit 1 home run in the first 31 games. Was traded to Atlanta and wound up hitting 19 home runs for the Braves in 100 games. He's done a lot of damage in his career against the Reds. By far better numbers against Cincinnati for Matt Adams than against any other team he's played against during his major league career. There are those numbers.
16 home runs.
1-1 on Adams. Castillo made 15 major league starts. First time he had been in the major leagues a season ago. And he made the jump all the way from AA Pensacola. He made 14 starts down there. And the overall numbers outside of wins versus losses, oftentimes beyond his control, were just astounding. In 89 1/3 major league innings, Castillo only surrendered 64 hits. He struck out better than a batter per inning, 98 of those in the 89 innings, and he did walk 32. Deep into right center field, and Adams continues his wrecking ball offensively against Reds pitching. A 3-run home run that comes on a 2-2 pitch, and the Nationals off and running 3-0.
You're talking about high velo hitters earlier, Tom, but at 97 miles an hour, if you throw it down the middle of the plate, there are a lot of guys in Major League Baseball that can catch up to it. In fact, that's more or less hitting speed nowadays. And after he had a terrible swing on a couple of changeups, to make a mistake right down Broadway with a fastball, Castillo's just got to be thinking to himself, why there? Why did I throw it there?
Still just one out in the inning, and here's Howie Kendrick, the second baseman. He's getting regular playing time to begin this season at that position while they're waiting on one of their other offensive stars in Daniel Murphy. If Murphy's not the best, he is among the very best at the second base position offensively, and there's a strikeout, the first of the afternoon for Castillo. 2 gone. Shortstop Trey Turner, hitless in 3 at-bats, did draw a walk on opening day yesterday. Strike 1 on a fastball. Breaking ball sweeps away. 2 balls and a strike on the Washington shortstop. Beautiful day today here in Cincinnati. Here in the last hour or so, we're seeing clouds for the first time, and there is rain in the forecast for very late this afternoon, early tonight. High bouncer, glove by Suarez, and the inning is over, but the Nationals getting the 3-run home run from Matt Adams. Reds coming to bat for the first time, trailing by 3.
When he was wearing a Cardinal uniform, and the Reds will take to the bat, 3 runs down.
And you look at their starting lineup. Winker again in the leadoff spot, second straight day. Suarez, Votto to follow. Jeanette 4 hits on opening day yesterday. First Red to do that since Ramon Hernandez 7 years ago. Schebler and Duvall, latter third of Peraza, Barnhart, Castillo, and when healthy, one of the game's very, very best. On the mound for the Nationals, a hard-throwing right-hander, Steven Strasburg. He made 28 starts a year ago. He pitched 175 innings. He has frequently been injured during his career. When he takes a ball, I mean, he's as good as anybody around. There's no 2 ways about it. 15-4 last year, ERA at 2.5. Opponents hit .204 against him. In his career, he's nearly 40 games over 500 with an ERA fractionally better than 3. And I think it was a surprise to many when they gave Strasburg, who has not made more than 29 starts in a season in 4 years, a 7-year contract, which the final year of the contract will pay him $45 million. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Jesse Winker. Winker yesterday 0 for 3 in a leadoff spot, struck out 3 times. He did reach base with a walk. And that one just served into center field. An easy play for Goodwin. Nationals behind Strasburg today. The only changes in center field, it's Goodwin in place of Taylor. And then along the infield, the only change is Adams in place of Ryan Zimmerman. If you're looking for a silver lining, and why not, Strasburg, for whatever reason, has not been a good pitcher here at Great American Ballpark. His career ERA at over 5, and that is by far his highest at any other park in baseball where he's made at least a handful of starts. Strasburg, one of those rare pitchers, Chris, as there's a base hit into center field by Eugenio Suarez, who basically pitches out of the stretch the entire game.
Well, he didn't always do that, Tom. He used to have a full windup, and he began to modify that as he gets older and maybe a little bit wiser. A lot of the motion you have in a full windup is unneeded anyhow. Well, I think he's just trying to simplify things. The other thing that Strasburg will do now that he has not done earlier in his career, he'll really favor that slower curveball over the hard slider, trying to take a little more pressure off of his elbow. He did miss a month last year to a nerve impingement in his elbow, and I think he'd want to do whatever he can to stay healthy.
First hit of the season for Suarez after going 0 for 4 yesterday, and Votto will follow that with his second hit of the season after going 1 for 4 yesterday. So back-to-back singles by the Reds' corner infielders, and that'll bring Jeanette to the plate.
Well, Votto swung at the first pitch 3 times, I think, yesterday, and he does the same thing right here and gets a fastball that he can negotiate very well. And that's basically in his wheelhouse right there for Votto. Strasburg was trying to come inside. You missed inner third instead of on the corner, and you end up giving up a line drive.
In fact, Chris, you're right about 3 times yesterday. It was 3 times consecutively, and now you throw in the first pitch swing today. That's 4 straight plate appearances where Votto has offered at the first pitch of the at bat. Here's a guy who just knocked the cover off the ball all of last year, and he did the same thing in spring training, carried it right into opening day yesterday. Scooter Gennett, a perfect 4 for 4. Had a double and 3 singles yesterday. Handled by Adams for the second out of the inning, and the runners advance Suarez and Votto, so a pair in scoring position with Schebler coming up. That was nearly a perfect pitch by Strasburg.
You know, a perfect pitch will almost always get the hitter out. But if you really go through a video of a game pitch by pitch and examine each offering, it's amazing how many bad pitches a pitcher will make and still get a good result.
That fastball at 96, a swing and a miss by Schebler. Schebler had a base hit, stole a base in 4 trips to the plate yesterday, and there's back-to-back gas and back-to-back swings and misses.
Yeah, up the ladder. I think that's one of the weaknesses for Scott Schebler. Was last year when he struck out a lot. He chased a lot of pitches that were up at either at the very top of the strike zone or just above the strike zone. That's a pitch that he's going to have to figure out how to lay off of.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Shubler. And a slow roller to the right side. And Adams, the glove feed to the covering Strasburg to get the out. It's well done by the first baseman and the pitcher. 3-0 at the end of 1.
Here, and we are glad to have her, and welcome to the team.
Thanks, Jim. What size are your feet? Because I hear I've got some pretty big shoes to fill down here.
Don't give Tom Brenneman any fodder, any more than he needs, please. But let's talk a little bit about you. You've been doing some work with MLB. What have you been doing the last couple of years?
I sure have. I was doing some stuff with their youth department in the grassroots space with their play ball initiative, as well as in their developmental space. One of the Reds Hall of Famers, Eric Davis, is a coach with the MLB development program. So I've gotten to know him quite a bit over the last year.
And you got your feet wet as far as interviewing major league players. So you were up to speed and ready to rock and roll Fox Sports Ohio style.
I sure am. I'm ready to be here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get to know some of these guys in the clubhouse. So you'll have to give me some insider tips.
Well, we're giving you some tips down here as we go here, and one tip would be on your toes when Tom Brenneman is in the booth, because there will be verbal shots that will come your way, although he'll probably be nice to you, but just be ready for anything. We like to have a little fun around here.
I hope he's not nice to me, because you know what they say, when people start being nice to you, that's when they don't really like you.
Tom, she's already got it down.
Well, it's perfect. We're very lucky to have her. And Shanna, by the way, is a graduate of Miami of Ohio. And it's great to have her as part of the team. She'll be joining us the next homestand when the St. Louis Cardinals come to town. Jim Day will be in the booth calling the play-by-play, and Shannon will be trying to fill those big shoes of Jim Day.
Here we go. She just put it on the tee for you.
Well, I'm going to.
Did you guys team up on this already?
We did not. Yeah, we should have, and maybe all of a sudden I finally have a confidant around here, that I can bounce some ideas off of before we approach Jim Day about it.
Uh-oh. I can feel Shannon Ford being under Tom Brenneman's wing.
The good news is you'll be in the booth a lot of the time that I'm down here.
Oh, good news for some, I guess.
Well, was that her taking a shot at me? The good news is that I'm not going to be around?
No, I think she was talking about the verbal jabs that come the way of whoever the sideline reporter is.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But we are happy to have Shannon. We are looking forward to the future.
Absolutely. Shannon, thanks so much. We can't wait to have you back in Cincinnati next week. And there's a ground ball after a strikeout of Goodwin. Reeders taps out to the second baseman, Jeanette. So Castillo's retired the first two in inning 2. 3-0 Nationals if you're just joining us on a 3-run home run in the first by Matt Adams. And by the way, Shannon is continuing her work with Major League Baseball and BAM and all the things that they have going on. So when she's not doing Reds games, which is roughly right around 40, my understanding is she will continue all of her work with MLB and the MLB network. Here's Strasburg. Suarez will plant and fire across the diamond, and that's a quick and efficient 1-2-3 inning for Castillo. Duvall to lead it off when we return. Thanks to PNC Bank. 513-381-REDS for tickets, or you can always visit reds.com. One of our game storylines brought to you by Elk and Elk. You go back to 1933, and only in Jake Arrieta's Cy Young Award season that year with the Cubs did a pitcher have a lower ERA after the All-Star break than Steven Strasburg's 0.8 earned run average to close out last year. Strasburg ran into one-out trouble in the opening inning. Reds had singles from Suarez and Votto, but he got down to business getting Jeanette and Shevlers on ground balls to first base. Duvall, Peraza, Barnhart due up in inning number 2. Adam did not start the game yesterday, despite the fact the last 2 years he has averaged better than 30 home runs and better than 100 runs batted in. He did make a pinch hitting appearance. Two and 0 on Adam Duvall. Kids opening day, real nice crowd on this Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock start time. On Easter Sunday tomorrow, we get started at 4 o'clock. We certainly wish all of you early on a joyful Easter Sunday. Sal Romano will start it tomorrow for the Reds against left-hander Gio Gonzalez. And the Cubs come into town to finish off this homestand for a very short 2-game series. Monday is an afternoon game at 4:10 and then 6:40 on Tuesday night. Duvall gone swinging, first strikeout of the season for Steven Strasburg.
He got the whole assortment of Steven Strasburg breaking balls in this particular at bat. A previous pitch was a curveball. That was a changeup. And you're seeing that more and more. It used to be that right-handed pitchers would save their changeups mainly for left-handed hitters. But we saw it really several years ago when Johnny Cueto started throwing right-on-right changeups. And more pitchers have done that. We saw yesterday Max Scherzer do it. Strasburg gets a strikeout with one there.
Jose Peraza 0 for 4, struck out 3 times yesterday. Peraza, of course, taking over the everyday shortstop duties, back to his original position this year, replacing Zach Cozart. Quickly 0-2 on Peraza. Cozart now playing for the Angels in Anaheim.
Zach hit a home run in his first at bat, did he not? Nice to see good people do well.
Yes,
and
indeed.
he's buena gente. Zach Cozart is.
On the field and off the field. He's just about as good as it gets. 0-2 on Peraza. And he's gone swinging. And that is a strikeout against Duvall and Peraza for Strasburg to start this second inning. Look at that pitch. It's unhittable.
Which would beg the question, then why swing at it?
Well, it looked good, and then it became unhittable.
You're right. There are 2 different kinds of pitches that pitchers throw. One are pitches that start as balls and then become strikes, and then the others that look like strikes when they come out of the hand and they end up balls. The dangerous ones are the ones that look like strikes and they stay strikes. They're usually pretty much right down the can.
Reds only had a couple of scoring chances against Scherzer, Kinsler, Madsen, and Doolittle yesterday. They had a leadoff double by Jeanette in the second inning. He never moved. 3 straight strikeouts. That started a run of 7 straight punch-outs for Scherzer. They had a pair of 2-out singles in the 4th inning. Barnhart struck out against Scherzer. And then in the 8th inning against Madsen, again a pair of 2-out singles by Votto and Jeanette, but Schebler grounded out to end the inning. The Reds are still in search, of course, of their first run here in 2018.
It's really the way, though, Tom, you would expect a game started by Max Scherzer to go. And the Reds were able, they were in a position to tie the game up, maybe take the lead a couple of times with just a key hit here or there. So just sometimes you get those and sometimes you don't.
Very encouraging start for Homer Bailey yesterday. Bailey 6 innings, a 4-hit, 1-run baseball. And that 1 run, you could easily have seen that not scoring at all.
Yeah.
Hard slide at second to break up a potential double play by Bryce Harper, forcing a throw in the dirt. On the relay to first, it would have been the final out of the inning. Adams will handle it himself in a 1-2-3 inning for Strasburg. We move to the 3rd. Nationals 3, Reds nothing.
is now in right field, and it caught a few off guard. In fact, it got the manager off guard. When he came to make a call to the bullpen, he pointed to the traditional left center field because he's so used to that over 4 years of being a manager of the Reds. So we'll see if he makes a call to the bullpen today, if he points down the right field line, as people are getting used to the red legs in the right field corner, right below the Budweiser bow tie bar, which is big league.
See, Jim, what you're failing to recognize here is with all the injuries in the Reds bullpen to start the year, he had actually pointed out hoping to get a pitcher from a Nationals bullpen. That said tongue in cheek, of course. I mean, it's very tough for him to begin this year.
Yeah, no question about it.
When, you know, theoretically, 3 of your best relievers are starting the year in some form or fashion on the inactive roster. Now, Raisel Iglesias can be activated before the game tomorrow. He went on the 3-day paternity leave DL, and that spans 72 hours, not 3 full games. So he went on the paternity list on Thursday, late Wednesday night. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be his 3 days. And that went over the head of Schebler into straightaway center field, and that'll be a 2-base hit for Adam Eaton. But you also don't have Michael Lorenzen down there, nor do you have one of the free agent signees during the offseason in David Hernandez.
Well, Eaton got a whole bunch of this ball, and I think the way it really fooled Schebler, came right at him, a line drive that was tough for him to read. And you know, Reds fans just aren't used to seeing that happen in center field here. Not with Billy Hamilton patrolling defensively, one of the best out there. And those are shoes to fill. Whoever it is that will play center field in place of Hamilton when he does not start, defensively, it's going to be a step down, and there's no way around it.
Anthony Rendon drew a walk his first time up. So Eaton a perfect 2 for 2 today, a single, a run scored, and now a double. Castillo stays ahead at 0 balls and 2 strikes on Rendon. You know, it's interesting reading some of the articles about the future of the Nationals and everybody talking about whether or not they're going to sign Bryce Harper, who's a free agent at the end of the year. And there are many that believe that there is a future for the Washington Nationals without Bryce Harper. There's a base hit into left field, and one of the big reasons why is because of a guy like Rendon and Taylor and Turner and some of the others up and down this lineup to go along with a dynamite pitching staff.
Well, the one thing that Rendon doesn't do a lot of is strike out, and he takes a lot of walks. So he forces the opposing pitcher to throw the ball over the plate. His on-base percentage last year was up over 400. In fact, it was at 413. So that's elite level for a guy to be able to get on base. He plays a solid defense. Although, you know, you wonder how much of his success at the plate has to do with batting one ahead of Bryce Harper. It's like batting in front of Joey Votto. You're going to get more strikes, and most of them are going to be fastballs.
Well, here is Harper with runners on the corners, and Castillo with some work to do with nobody out. Harper tapped out into a force play to the first baseman, but did score on a 3-run home run by Adams. A double by Eaton, a single by Rendon. They're on the corners with nobody out. And Harper, a big swing and a miss, trying to hit that one to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. 2-1 to Harper. We mentioned yesterday that when Harper showed up for spring training, a huge media contingent had gathered, all of them ready to talk about the impending free agency for Harper. That one straight up in the air down the left field line. Duvall a long way to go. He has a great arm, but he's not going to throw out the speedy Adam Eaton. They try at second. Nope. Both runners advance. Good base running by Rendon. And that's a sac fly RBI, the first RBI of the year by Harper, and that makes it 4-0 Nationals.
You're going to not be able to get Adam Eaton because of his speed and the way that ball was kind of floated in the wind out there. It forced the left fielder Adam Duvall to go back a couple of steps right there, not really get himself in a good throwing position. That throw should have gone to second base. That way you would have kept Rendon from going from first to second. You know, good base running by Rendon, but he simply took advantage of what the Reds gave him.
So now Adams, who clubbed a 3-run home run out by the power stacks in right center field, his first time up.
Reds have been a team that have always liked to put the shift on Adams, put as many fielders as you can to the right side. Of course, you can't do that now with a runner at second base. That's why Suarez is a much more conventional spot there at third.
1-0 to Adams. Today playing in his 34th game at Great American Ballpark. And he has hit 11 home runs. And bear in mind, he's not started every one of those 34 games. There were a number of those with the Cardinals where he did not start, because he was primarily a backup guy, with the exception of some stretches here and stretches there over the last 2-3 years before moving on to Atlanta. But my, oh my, has he found a way to do damage in his career against the Reds. Good change up there to go in 2-2. You may remember the first at bat today. Castillo fooled Adams like he did right there on changeups.
And it was the exact same count that he hit the home run on. Here he is at 2-2. The last time up, the 3-run bomb came on a 2-2 count. I doubt he's getting a fastball down Broadway.
That home run Adams hit in the first inning was way out of here. In fact, we're going to give you the exact distance of it here in a second. So take a look. Much is being made these days, Chris, of exit velocity coming off the bat, 109 miles per hour and 460 feet. That is a long ways from home. Howie Kendrick struck out his first time up, this time on the ground to Peraza, but it's a scoring third for the Nationals. They get one on a couple of base hits and lead after 2.5, 4-0. Regular season game live at your home, in the office. You can go to MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions may apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Reds come to bat. Last of the third. Luis Castillo to lead things off, and the Nationals have a 4-0 lead. A 3-run home run by Matt Adams in the opening inning. A double, a single, a sac fly by Bryce Harper in this third. Reds had back-to-back one-out singles in the first inning against this Washington right-hander from Suarez and Votto. He retired the final 2 in that inning and 3 in a row in the second. Here we are in the third. And Castillo puts bat on ball to the shortstop, 1 out. And now, how about a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming?
Get ready to get lucky.
6 in a row retired now by Strasburg, and back to the top of the order we go with right fielder Jesse Winker. I was thinking about the Cardinals in opening their season against the New York Mets, and the Mets in the 6th inning have a 4-1 lead. And look, regardless of all the injuries the Mets had up and down in their starting rotation last year, I think it's pretty safe to say if there are 2 teams that you would prefer not to start your season against because you know that they can set their rotation, those 2 teams would be the Washington Nationals and the New York Mets. Noah Syndergaard dominant 2 days ago in the Mets opening day win. They had yesterday off, and today it's Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Mets, who's arguably their best pitcher and has been, even though his stuff may not be quite as dominant as somebody like Syndergaard. And here with the Nationals, you're getting Scherzer and Strasburg and then Gonzalez. Steven Matz, trying to come back from injury, will start the 3rd game of the year tomorrow for the Mets. And Chris, I remember when we were there a few years ago and saw Matz make his major league debut. You thought this young man had a chance to be right there neck and neck with Syndergaard and, at the time, Matt Harvey and Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, he's been sidelined really and set back by a number of different arm injuries, including, I think, missing an entire season due to Tommy John injury. But, you know, when you get him back and healthy, he's quite an arm and quite an array of stuff.
Winker went around too far, and that's strike 3, 3rd one of the game for Strasburg, and the first 2 retired in the Reds' 3rd inning.
You know, it's funny, Tom, at the very top of the show we highlighted these 2 pitchers, Strasburg and Luis Castillo, as being the flamethrowers in the National League. Strasburg averages over 95 miles an hour on his fastball last year. Luis Castillo up around 97 miles per hour. But it's their off-speed pitches that have been their most effective weapon so far this afternoon. That curveball that Strasburg's throwing in there right now, the Reds just have no clue. And the same can be said for Castillo's changeup. The difference in this ball game is really a 3-run home run on a fastball, of all things, from Castillo at 97.
Suarez had a base hit, single into center field his first time up. Broken bat, ouch, into the glove of Adams, and that's all for the Reds. 1, 2, 3 back-to-back innings for Strasburg in a 4-0 Nationals lead.
Gallardo, who was released by the Brewers, 11 MLB seasons, spent last year with Seattle, worked part-time out of the bullpen last year, has made 15 starts in this ballpark as an opponent and a 3.77 ERA. Brian Price says he will work out of the bullpen. He's a former teammate of Scooter Gennett with the Brewers, and Scooter was very happy to see Yvonne. Said that he is a guy that will take young pitchers aside, take them under his wing, and is a very good mentor for young pitchers. So adding another veteran to the mix, Yvonne Gallardo is now a Red.
High drive in a deep left field off the bat of Trey Turner, and that makes it 5-0 Washington as we start this fourth inning.
Well, Trey Turner
a season ago hit 11 of them.
Speed than he is the long ball. But he gets all of one right up in the wheelhouse. He's kind of bailing out with the upper part of his body anyway. I think Castillo supplied the power and Turner supplied the bat head.
Well, they have huge expectations from this talented young shortstop. Came to the big leagues, played in just 97 games a year ago. He had 11 home runs, drove in 45, had 41 extra base hits in 97 games, and stole nearly 50 bases in those 97 games. He had one of the best games that any Reds opponent put together against this team last year. On June the 24th, he had 5 hits and added a walk, reaching base safely in a game 6 times. Needless to say, that's a career high and still is. And it was only the 7th time ever in Nationals history, and that's since they moved to D.C. in 2005, that any player had reached base safely 6 times in a single game. On swinging, Brian Goodwin. And that's 4 strikeouts now for Luis Castillo.
Well, the changeup has certainly been the friend of Luis Castillo here this afternoon. I think every strikeout he has gotten, he got Howie Kendrick on a fastball, but all the other strikeouts he has gotten, 3 of the 4 have come on that changeup. Both home runs have come off fastballs.
Number 8 hitter, catcher Matt Wieters, grounded out to Scooter Gennett, his only time up today.
Now, that doesn't mean that I'm trying to suggest that he throw more changeups just because that's an effective pitch. But I think commanding your fastball is the important thing. Staying out of the hot zone. I mean, big league hitters have been, consistent throughout the history of the major leagues. You throw the ball in a hot part of the zone and you're going to get hit no matter how hard it is. So Castillo, for him, it means keep your 2-seam fastball down around the knees and your 4-seam up around the letters.
Back-to-back strikeouts after the home run. And there's that changeup once more. Pitcher Strasburg bounced out to Suarez, his only time up today. A pair of home runs, a 3-run home run by Adams, and a solo shot by Turner. A sac fly by Harper sandwiched in between. It's 5 runs and 5 hits through nearly the front 4 innings today for Washington against Castillo.
Silver Slugger winner is Steven Strasburg. Clubbed a couple of home runs last year.
And he's put the ball in play twice, but both ground balls to Suarez. The home run by Turner extends the Nationals' lead to 5-0.
debuted. Ken Griffey Jr. had the first hit. It was a double. Reggie Sanders, playing for the Pirates, hit the first home run in GABP history. The Pirates would go on to win that game 10-1, but 15 years. It's hard to believe the Reds have been in this ballpark for 15 years, but the old girl has changed over the years, and all for the better. An underrated ballpark, in my estimation, in Major League Baseball.
You know, Jim, it's funny you say that because we were visiting with some of the Nationals people before the game today up here in the press box, and a few of them had a chance to walk around, and the first thing that they said when we began the conversation was how great this ballpark is, and the concourses and a lot of the things they've done along the concourses and how spacious they are, and you know, the different bars and the scenery looking into the hills of Kentucky, and they have just done an incredible job. You're right. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, what's your favorite ballpark? And I'll say all the time, I got to tell you, I haven't been to one that I like more than Great American Ballpark. Now, look, there are some like San Francisco. You're looking out into the San Francisco Bay and the beauty and all that kind of thing. Pittsburgh, you're looking into downtown. All of those things are true. But if you're just asking about the ballpark itself, this is a spectacular ballpark.
Well, the improvement they've done, as you said, Tom, has been incredible. I tell a story about when the ballpark first opened, and I think it was the first year when the Yankees came in, and Jose Posada hit a home run to center field. This is before they had the pilot house, before they had anything really on top of that batter's eye.
That's right.
And it was written in one of the New York papers after Posada just waylaid into one and hit one to deep, deep center field, that Posada hit one off the utility building in center field. It was kind of a slam,
sure,
obviously, to this brand new ballpark. Well, it did look like it was something that you would park, you know, municipal trucks in. It did. No longer. There is not one part of this ballpark that just has not been improved and looks great. It's a nice intimate setting right now, and it's taken a while to get here, but boy, it is a great product right now.
Votto, a ground ball to the right side, and he's retired. Yesterday, Votto saw a total of 5 pitches in 4 plate appearances. That's the fewest over a 4 plate appearance stretch. His previous low ever was 7 pitches over 4 plate appearances. And right now, Strasburg,
over there, big guy,
he's starting to look a lot like Scherzer did yesterday. Maybe not with all the strikeouts. He does have 3 of them. Scherzer wound up punching out 10. One hopper from short right field. Kendrick throws out Jeanette. 10 in a row retired now by Strasburg.
And he's been really effective, as I said, you know, with the off-speed stuff, the curveball, the changeup, the harder breaking ball that he throws. Those have been his best pitches.
If you're just joining us, the Reds had back-to-back singles by Suarez and Votto with 1 out in the first inning. And that's when Strasburg started this current run, having retired now 10 in a row. Got Jeanette and Schebler to end the first. A perfect second, a perfect third, and out away from a perfect fourth. Is this the first Reds run of the season? At the wall, it is gone, and a home run by Scott Schebler.
First time up, Strasburg threw a couple of high fastballs right by Schebler. Eventually got him on a ground ball out. This time let him off with a changeup and got it up above the knees a little bit, and Schebler hammers it and gets a solo shot.
Strasburg is quite stingy with a home run ball. Now he pitches in a pitcher's ballpark, and that National League Eastern Division is loaded with pitcher's ballparks. But he only surrendered a total of 13 of them in a little better than 175 innings last year.
That's a great example, Tom, and you make a super point, because that ball hit right there by Scott Schebler might not be a home run in Washington, especially on a cool day. You know, you've got the wind blowing kind of out towards left center field here today, as it normally does, out of the west down the river, and that may have helped that ball a little bit.
Well, I think if you started marching through the entire National League East, where he's pitching the overwhelming majority of his games playing inside that division, it would not have been a home run in Washington. It would not have been a home run in New York. I don't remember enough about Atlanta. That was our first trip there last year. It would definitely not have been a home run in Miami. And probably would have been a home run in Philly. That's the best hitter's park in that division. Strikeout by Duvall. The Reds are on the board for the first time in 2018 thanks to a home run by Schebler. Go further. Nationals lead 5-1. Scott Schebler a home run in the bottom half of the fourth inning to put a dent in the scoreboard after the Reds were shut out yesterday. But the Nationals with a 4-run lead as they bat here in the fifth. Top of the order. Eaton 2 of 2. A single, a double, has scored a pair of runs.
Kind of what you want your leadoff hitter to do is lead off every time he can. That's what he's done 3 times so far today.
Well, the first 4 hitters in this Nationals lineup today, you have Eaton 2 for 2. You have Rendon with a single and a walk. Harper's knocked in a run with a fly ball, and Adams has a 3-run home run.
Eaton is the type of batter in the batter's box that he's not all the way in the back. A lot of guys like to kick away that line in the back of the batter's box and get as far away as the pitcher as possible, but not Adam Eaton. He starts a little bit open with his right foot and then closes up as he takes a stride. And that tells me as a pitcher that he's a guy that can cover that outer part of the plate, because he's trying to get a good look by having a little bit of an open stance as he starts, but when he closes up, that gives him the ability to get to that outside part of the strike zone.
He jerks that one down the right field line, and this is a 3rd hit in the game now for Eaton. A pair of doubles and a single. And to think this team won 97 games and only had Eaton for 23 games last year before an injury.
Well, here's a changeup that just gets hung right on the inner part of the plate. Eaton just a short, compact swing, and he rifles it right inside the first base line. So 4 out of 5 innings. Castillo has had a runner on base. One of those last inning was a home run ball.
And both times Rendon has come to the plate, he's had Eaton on in front of him. Rendon has walked and singled. Strike one. It is scary to think how good this Nationals team could be this year. When you consider that this time a year ago, when the season began, you know, they thought they had guys who could get the job done in the bullpen, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but the first 2.5 months, the Nationals bullpen seemingly 2 nights a week was blowing a save, and they kept rotating one guy after another to try and take over as their closer, and then it was the general manager Mike Rizzo's turn to take over. When at the deadline, he brought in not 1, not 2, but 3 back end of the bullpen pitchers. And those were the 3 we saw behind Scherzer yesterday. Kinsler, Ryan Madson, and the closer Doolittle.
Well, it helps when you're the general manager and you're given permission and purse strings. You're given permission to trade away great prospects, and they had to do that in order to go out and get guys like Adam Eaton. And they had to go out and spend some money to get pitchers with track records like Doolittle and Madsen, Kinsler.
Winker a long way to go and makes a nice running catch, tagging up his Eaton, and he will go into third base. That's alert and heads up base running there by Eaton, and a good play made by Winker.
Well, we saw for so many years Jay Bruce figuring out how to play that right field edge down there. That's a tough part of the ballpark. There's not a lot of foul territory. You've got that stand that kind of juts out a little bit just beyond the tarp. And you get a little bit worried as you come over there full stride as to how far that cement wall is actually from the foul line. Is it in play on this one? Am I going to crash into it? Am I going to end up in the stands? He'll get the hang of it, Winker will, but he's made a nice play there.
Swinging a foul ball out of play. Want to send out a big hello to a good friend for so many around Major League Baseball. He's out in the San Francisco Bay Area watching today. David Benzer, cancer survivor. One of the great cameramen that I've ever had the privilege to work with for many years in our Fox network days together. But you go around through just about every single major league clubhouse and everybody knows Benny the Bull. He's dialed into Reds baseball today. So glad he's doing well. Swing and a miss on a high fastball, and it's 0-2 on Harper, who had a sac fly run batted in his last trip to left field in the third. Well, after having a lot of sunshine and then a lot of clouds, all of a sudden it's become bright and sunny once again. Closing in on 3:30 Eastern time on this Saturday afternoon. Again, a reminder, if you're thinking about coming down tomorrow, Easter Sunday, it's a late start tomorrow, 4:10. Oh, and 2 on Harper. Runner at third, 1 out. And this will drive in another run. His second sac fly of the afternoon will score Eaton. And the Nationals get that run back. Here in the top of the 5th, they have scored in 4 of their 5 innings today, 6-1 game. And there's strike one to Matt Adams. He got him off and rolling in the first inning. With Harper and Eaton aboard, Club won 460 feet to the seats in right center field for a 3-0 lead. Went to 4-0, 5-0. Schebler a home run in the Reds' bottom of the fourth inning, and now a double by Eaton, a sac fly again by Harper to make it a 5-run Washington lead. You know, for some strange reason, things pop into your mind when you see things happen over a course of a baseball game. And I'm reminded of that 2004 season, Chris, when Adam Dunn for the Reds hit 46 home runs in 1 year. But that year he did not have a single sacrifice fly the entire season. Harper has 2 of them today. Followed by Reds Live and the Reds and the Cubs in an early Monday start. Pop up into right field off the bat of Jose Peraza on the first pitch here in the 5th inning. Peraza started the year hitless in 6 at bats. Reds have a total of 3 hits and only 1, the Schebler home run, producing a run, the lone run so far in this series for the Reds. Hit hard, but right at the center fielder Goodwin off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. 2 pitches, 2 outs. And as you enjoy a cold Miller Lite, we invite you to join us for the whole true moment coming up later in today's game. The game is over for Luis Castillo. Phil Goslin, making his Reds debut, will step in. Earned a spot on this club during spring training. Austin Bryce is in the Reds bullpen, and he'll take over when the Nationals bat in the 6th. The Reds had some tough choices to make coming down to the wire. I think the one player that surprised a lot of people that wound up not making the team after having a great spring was Brandon Dixon. Goslin along with Cliff Pennington, a couple of guys that have been around the block a time or two. Goslin did not appear on opening day. And there's strike 3, and that will retire the side. The Reds are gone in order. 5 strikeouts in the game for Strasburg. Joy of Painting TV show with a special Reds ticket package. Each ticket package includes an exclusive Bob Ross bobblehead plus your ticket to see the Reds take on the Braves. This limited edition bobblehead is only available through this offer. Purchase today at reds.com/themes. It's good stuff. Well, Chris, I know this is a young man who caught your eye last year, made 22 appearances, all in relief during his 3 stints on the Reds roster. And that would be the right-hander Austin Bryce.
Bryce came over from the Marlins last year, Tom, in January, and he was part of that deal that sent Luis Castillo from the Marlins to the Reds in exchange for Dan Straley. So he's the other half of that 2-player deal the Reds got picked up. Young man that was drafted out of high school by the Marlins, worked his way through the minor leagues, was in 15 games in the major leagues. That was a couple of years ago with Miami. And he was in 21 games last year with the Reds. Hard throwers, sidewinder, kind of not really sidewinder, but low 3/4. Sinker slider.
You mentioned he was on the disabled list a couple of times last year. He had some inflammation in his right elbow and then a strained right lat. That occurred in August, and that sidelined him from the middle of August through the remainder of the regular season. Well, the Reds went through so many pitchers a year ago. I mean, you can't even remember them all. There were so many. Over the last 5 years, 50 different Reds players have made 83 appearances on the Reds disabled list. And since Brian Price has become manager in his 4 years, only 34 times has he been able to start what was to be his projected lineup to begin a season. Think about that. In 4 years, 34 times. Last year was a total of 13. Going into the year, their projected starting lineup was Devin Mesoraco, Joey Votto, Jose Peraza at second, Suarez at third, Cozart at short. Outfield, left, center, and right of Duvall, Hamilton, Schebler. Those 8 position players made a total of 13 starts together all of last year. And the Reds were 1 game under 500. And that's not even including all of the pitchers the Reds had to use last year. Turner homered to left field his last time up, 1 for 2 in the game. Statcast look at the home run by Turner. Adams' exit velocity, you may remember, was 109. It went 460 feet. This one at 104, 408. You like that stuff, don't you, Chris?
Well, what I really like more than that is the latitude of the pitch, meaning how high the pitch was in the zone. It was the same spot for Adams as it was for Trey Turner. And Turner's a guy that if you just watch him hit, he'll tell you right away that he likes the ball up. He likes the ball in the inner third. And if they can find a Statcast number for that spot, I'd be very interested in it.
That one right down the can.
Well, I mean, he's kind of bailing out, as I said, with his upper body. I mean, it's one thing the Nationals have talked to him about is try to cut his swing down a little bit. So when you get a young man who's really built for speed and not for power, hits a home run, sometimes that makes him want to hit more home runs, and his swing gets bigger and bigger. In the long run, though, he's a guy that is going to make most of his money with his legs.
Ryan Goodwin, the batter. 7-hole hitter, looks at ball 1. Bryce has come in the game and allowed base hits to Kendrick and Turner. Bryce is clearly trying to make an impression on the manager and his pitching coach and his general manager. Because more than likely, and look, we're not privy to the inside conversations that occur as the Reds are trying to figure out who will be on their roster, the 25-man roster to start a regular season. But it's probably safe to say that were it not for the injuries to Lorenzen late in the spring, to David Hernandez, to the paternity list 3-day stay for Raisel Iglesias, that Bryce more than likely opens the year at AAA Louisville. But now he's going to get a chance. So he's hoping to make the most of it. Two and one to Goodwin. Reds trailing 6-1. We're in the top of the 6th inning. They've gone to the bottom of the 7th inning at Citi Field. Jacob deGrom going through the front 6. Mets 4, Cardinals 1. Michael Wacha, the starter in that one for St. Louis. He's long gone now. In fact, that game and this game are the only 2-day games being played around the major leagues. Everything else is tonight, which is really quite surprising because in the American League traditionally, the American League East, maybe more so than any other division in Major League Baseball, seems to play a large number of 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock games over the course of a baseball season on Saturdays rather than playing on Saturday nights. Have to hurry. Goodwin can run. They're going to get the out at third. That's a force out play. You don't have to tag it. 1 out in the inning. I think Suarez wasn't sure if he had a chance to miss that bag, so he went ahead and took a swipe at the incoming runner.
That was a good decision by Peraza right there. You know, you want to get as lead as you can, and I'm not sure what they get the man at third base. So you keep the double play in order.
So runners still at first and second base, 1 out in the inning. And now a chance, knowing that Strasburg, who is a good hitter, we talked earlier, won a Silver Slugger at the pitcher's position as an offensive player last year, but he's still a pitcher. You can find a way to take care of 8 and 9, and now all of a sudden a run down. And Bryce will continue to hold it, and he'll go ahead and tag the runner as another batter has occupied the base.
Well, Bryce was instructed to tag both of the runners. The bag actually belongs to the lead runner out there, and that's Trey Turner. So the trailing runner who came in behind him, Brian Goodwin, was the last guy to get there. Since he was not forced to go to second base, it's not his bag. So when Bryce runs the runner all the way back, there's 2 guys on the bag, and the advice you give to all defensive players here is tag both of the runners and let the umpire sort it out. That's exactly what we do here at second base, and James Hoy calls out Goodwin.
Well, oh my, you will take that all day, every day. It went from first and second and nobody out to now first and second as they intentionally walk Wieters, and the pitcher will come up with 2 men out. Steven Strasburg, a pair of ground balls at Suarez today, but has put the bat on the ball and put it in play. Be a nice little pick-me-up here for Bryce if he can get out of this inning without allowing a run after singles from the first 2 batters. That one shot the other way out of play, and now Bryce ahead at 1 and 2 on Strasburg. Reds will have a top of the order coming up in the bottom of the 6th. Winker, Suarez, Votto.
Well, after Strasburg tries to get that ball to right field like that, the best pitch for Austin Bryce right here is that hard sinker that he throws down and in. There's a breaking ball he misses with, and here, but his bread and butter is that fastball.
Well, he misses on a 2-2 pitch with that fastball darting down and away from Strasburg. So now all of a sudden Strasburg figures, I'm getting the dead red here. And of course the runners with 2 away in the inning on a full count will get started. Very important pitch for young Mr. Bryce. And that strike 3 call to retire the side. So he pitches around, singles to start the inning from the front 2 hitters. Still a 6-1 Washington lead.
Sign up now through Monday at tmobile.com/MLB. Well, the Giants are off to a 2-0 start, and they're probably freaking out in Dodger land. But how about Joe Panik? He wouldn't be the guy you would choose for power in that Giants lineup, or at least not the first choice, but he becomes the first player in MLB history to hit solo home runs in back-to-back 1-0 games. And the Giants are the second team in MLB history to start the season with 1-0 victories. You got to go back to the 1943 Reds for the last time that to happen. How about that? 1-0, 1-0,
yeah.
And both solo home runs off the bat of Joe Panik.
That is something indeed. A lot of people think the Giants are prepared to make a big run this year, Chris. They made a lot of news in the offseason and some of their free agent signings. They had the bad luck with Madison Bumgarner getting injured near the end of spring training, but you'd never know it through the first 2 games that their ace is not taking the ball.
Well, it was a tough challenge they had by facing the Dodgers right out of the chute. It's a long season. The Dodger team is going to be a tough one to harness this summer. I'll tell you one thing that Strasburg has been able to do with the Reds here this afternoon is get them very aggressive at the plate. He has only thrown, and you see it right up here, 57 pitches. And that's a combination of throwing a lot of strikes and having a team being very aggressive.
Jesse Winker 0 for 2, 0 for 5 so far in the first 2 games. Winker has struck out in what, 3-4 of those 5 trips to the plate. See, I don't know about you if you feel this way or not, and I've really gotten to a point now, fortunate enough to announce 30, 31 years, whatever it is in baseball, of really trying not to pay much attention anymore because there have just been too many examples of teams that are supposed to be really good and it didn't go so good for multiple reasons. We've seen a lot more of teams that were expected not to be very good at all, especially in recent years, that have come on and made a trip to the playoffs or into wild card spot, whatever it may be. But looking at that Dodger team, which of course played in the World Series and lost last year to Houston, I like the look of this team better than that team, at least going into the year, and neither one of them may end up doing anything, or they might be the 2 playing in the LCS. We'll find out. Little floater into center field, and that's a base hit, the first of this young season for Winker.
Well, they've been in the playoffs, what, 5 years in a row now, the Dodgers have, so they are a team to contend with, there's no doubt. But to your point, I think it's a point worth taking, Tom, and isn't over that same span, though, a team that finished below 500 one year, there's been a team in the playoffs the very next year. So there's a door open for everybody out there that has had a bad run. And that would perhaps include this Reds ball club, and perhaps looking around the division, you know, people I think expect a little bit more this year of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Sure. I mean, they go out and they bring in, you know, they make the deal to get Yelich. They sign Lorenzo Cain. Some wonder about their pitching. You know, it's Chase Anderson that started opening day. He didn't come to mind when you think, not to take anything away from him. He threw the ball really well for them the last couple of years, but you know, you don't put him in a category anywhere close to guys like Scherzer or Kershaw and Syndergaard and all those kinds of guys as an opening day pitcher. But he pitched great and in fact didn't allow a run on opening day, did Anderson. You know,
and there seems to be a trend among a lot of those teams, the non-super teams, who can afford rotations like Strasburg and Scherzer, to get those guys and try to, you know, nowadays they're trying to get 5 innings out of their starter and then make it a bullpen game and load up your bullpen with maybe 8 pitchers down there, shorten your bench by 1 guy, and that's the way you play the game.
0-2 on Suarez, and now a ball and 2 strikes.
And I think I'm wondering, Tom, if the trend in baseball is really headed that way anyhow. Because the more I talk to coaches that have been around and that have, you know, watched players come up through the minor leagues, pitching coaches that is, they keep telling me the same thing. These guys haven't learned how to pitch. They've learned how to throw hard. They've learned how to snap off hard breaking balls, but they haven't really learned the finesse of pitching and getting through a game, saving something for the 7th and the 8th inning, because it's, you know, as hard as you can for as long as you're out there, which is normally, you know, 4, 5, maybe 6 innings.
And even though he's been hurt a lot in recent years, I think what we saw yesterday from Homer Bailey was a guy, a lot of experience, a lot of innings pitched, no panic. I mean, that last inning, it could have turned into a very ugly opening day start for Bailey if Washington gets one more hit.
Yeah.
But he found a way to make pitches and get out of that final 6th inning, stranding the bases loaded with a lot of guts and moxie yesterday that you generally see for a guy who's pitched a lot of baseball. And you can pitch a lot of baseball if they allow you to pitch a lot of baseball in the minor leagues, but they rarely do anymore.
You're right.
Double play ball here. Oh my goodness, they don't get a single out. Again, goes to show you. That'll be an error on Turner, the shortstop.
Well, he took a couple of steps to his right. He got down to field it. Looks like he got in front of the ball, and the ball may have just taken a tough hop on him. I don't think you can fault the effort right there. It wasn't like he went over and tried to backhand that ball and get lazy on it. I think they're just one of those balls that came up on him. So the Reds get a little break, and they bring up a guy that can do some damage here with one swing of the bat.
One swing of the bat, and you're right back in the game. 2 on, none out for Votto, who singled to center field in the 1st inning and bounced out to the first baseman his last time up, ball 1. Joey, just an incredible season last year, among the very best of his outstanding Hall of Fame career. Pretty safe to say. .320 batter. Set an all-time franchise record for number of times reaching base safely in a season. 36 home runs, 100 batted in. You know about the on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. All the numbers. All there every year for Votto. Looking to do some damage here with 2 on and nobody out. Started 2, that's ball 3. He did not go around. Now, we've seen Votto a lot swing 3-0. If Strasburg grooves a fastball right down the pike, Votto will take a rip. Nowhere near, and they're loaded with nobody out. First walk of the game for Strasburg. He should have been facing Votto with nobody on and 2 out. But instead, the bases are loaded after the error with nobody out. And here comes Derek Lilliquist, a longtime pitching coach in St. Louis, who moves over to work for Dave Martinez in Washington this year.
Really kind of an odd move if you consider the movement of pitching coaches over the winter. Derek Lilliquist was let go by the St. Louis Cardinals. He ends up here in Washington as the pitching coach. The pitching coach in Washington, Mike Maddox, ends up in St. Louis. So basically it wasn't an official trade, but it might as well have been. A lot of new coaches here in Washington and a lot of new coaches in St. Louis.
Mentioned the number 4, a fine number indeed for Jeanette, who wore number 4 last year. He hit 4 grand slams, a franchise record. Of course, he hit 4 home runs in 1 game. And you can tell that Scooter is nowhere close to being the superstitious sort by changing his number after by far and away the best year of his career, professional career. That's a money pitch right there, 0-2.
Well, Strasburg not fooling around right here. He gets the bases loaded. I think it's the first time all game long we've seen him go back-to-back fastballs.
Jeanette today 0 for 2, a pair of groundouts to the right side. And a base hit into left field. That'll bring in 1. and make it a 6-2 game. Jeanette's first hit today after a 4-hit opening day game.
This is the component of the game for Scooter Gennett that I don't think a lot of people appreciate that he had. I think he surprised a lot of people with his ability to kind of hit the ball where it's been pitched. He did that yesterday on his 3rd hit the ball to left field after they pitched him away. That came on an 0-2 count.
No activity in the Washington Nationals bullpen. Reds have a tying run now coming to the plate, and Schebler homered his last time up. Got beat on a fastball and pops it up into foul ground. That's a huge out right there. Here comes Adam Duvall. He has struck out twice today against Strasburg. Few bodies starting to move around in the Nationals bullpen. And just now it appears there's some action underway. We'll tell you who the pitcher is warming up down there. They're loaded with 1 out. Reds down by 4. Ball 1 on Adam. Brandon Kinsler, saw him yesterday. Getting loose now in the Nationals pen. Straight away center field. It'll stay in the ballpark. Goodwin well shy of the track, but it will bring in another run to make it 6-3, and the other 2 runners advance as well. So after striking out his first 2 times up, Duvall with a runner at 3rd and fewer than 2 outs puts a ball in play to drive in a run, his first of the year.
Well, again, the same thing happened for the Reds as happened for the Nationals. Reds taking advantage of, and that's Scooter Gennett, the trail runner, taking advantage of a throw going to the cutoff man towards 3rd base rather than 2nd base, so he moves up into scoring position. Base hit makes it a 1-run ball game.
Peraza 0-2, 0-6 to begin the year. Today he has struck out and popped up to short right. And behind here, nothing at 2.
Well, if you're wondering about options for Brian Price in this situation, you know, there are no true left-handers on the bench for the Reds. They have 2 switch hitters, Cliff Pennington and Billy Hamilton. Those are the options for Price if he decided to do a pinch hitter here.
You know, it's interesting that the Reds had their #1 prospect in Nick Senzel working out the entire spring at shortstop. And look, Peraza's no dummy. I mean, he struggled mightily last year, especially at the plate, as he's gone swinging here. And the throw down will end the inning. We'll get back to that in a little bit. A 2-run inning, though. We go to the 7th, a 3-run game. Live kicks off our coverage at 3:30 here on Fox Sports Ohio, or streaming on Fox Sports Go. April and the OHIO, presented by Menards. Big Sal Romano on the hill tomorrow against Gio Gonzalez. This guy's got a chance to be a really good pitcher, don't you think, Chris?
Well, he's got some good pitches, Tom. He's got a very nasty sinker that he throws into the mid-90s. And his slider is one of those kind of sliders that goes straight down. Really doesn't go across in the zone very much. Last year was a matter of command, and he looked very good in spring training. So I'm anxious to see Sal on the hill.
Easy guy to root for.
Yeah, he is.
Big personality, fun guy to be around, very polite, well-spoken, easy guy to like.
Well, we did a Tech Talk today with the repertoire of Luis Castillo. Tomorrow, the Tech Talk will be the repertoire of Sal Romano.
You know, you handle that, and I don't say this facetiously. I don't say it in any way judgmentally, so please don't misunderstand me, anybody at home. I have always admired so very, very much the plight of the Latin American player coming to the United States, sometimes as a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, and they're dropped off in Billings, Montana, or they're sent to Dayton, Ohio, whatever it is. They don't speak any English, and they have to find a way to now start navigating in a foreign land and a foreign language. And so for a young man like Castillo, who's still working on it, but for him to have the courage to go do that with you, and then you to make him feel so much at ease, for those of you that did not see the Tech Talk today, it was well done. Ball driven into right center field, and that one will find the seats. What a day today for the Springfield, Ohio native Adam Eaton. A 4-hit day, 2 doubles, a single, a home run, and 4 runs scored. Wow, what a game.
What a series so far for Eaton.
Got a lot of friends and family here today. You can hear them down there.
Bad spot for a sinker.
So after the Reds get 2 in the bottom of the 6th inning, the home run to start the 7th by Eaton, and the lead goes from 3 to 4. Rendon, 1 of 2, has also drawn a walk. Gone to the 8th inning at Citi Field. Cardinals have picked up a run, but the Mets lead 5-2 with the Cardinals batting into the top of the 8th. 3-2 on Anthony Rendon. Harper to follow. This Nationals team a year ago, we mentioned the fact that they won 97 games, second most in the National League, second only to the Dodgers. Most of the time, the old adage about if you want to have a playoff kind of year, win 3/4 of your games at home, split 50-50, maybe a little better than that on the road. Well, the Nationals last year went 50-31 on the road. Over the last 18 years in baseball, that was the 4th best, well, actually tied with 3 other teams for the 2nd best winning percentage among all National League clubs in a single season. 6-17. The only team in the last 18 years was that 04 Cardinals team that went 52-29 on the road. And the 50 wins a franchise record, and that includes going all the way back to a team that you pitched for, where they moved from their days in Montreal. You liked playing up there, didn't you?
Montreal was great.
I bet you they get another team down the road.
I would like to see that. There's no doubt. I mean, if you go all the way back into franchise history, I mean, including the Nationals, all the way back to the Expos, you know, you're talking about guys like Gary Carter and Tim Raines, Andre Dawson.
But you know, it's a franchise that has still never won a World Series.
Well, they went to the playoffs in 1981. And then did not get there again, I don't believe, until 2012.
No,
right?
they had, well, technically you're correct. The best team the Expos ever had, and you could make an argument that would include even some of these Washington Nationals teams, was the strike year of 1994. The Expos had the best record in Major League Baseball when the strike hit that year. And I want to tell you something. I was doing the Cubs games at the time, and we were playing then in the National League East with the Montreal Expos. So you were playing those teams a lot. I'm going to tell you, 1-9, and then their starting rotation. You know, guys like Pedro Martinez. They had John Wetland in the bullpen and Jeff Fazzaro. I mean, these guys were so good. Mel Rojas was down there. Jeff Shaw was on that team.
He was.
And then you look up and down there, their batting order. There's a ground ball to the shortstop, and Peraza will throw out Harper. They had Cliff Floyd. Will Cordero was an outstanding hitter. Mike Lansing, Moises Alou, Marquise Grissom, the great Larry Walker. That was some kind of team, man. And many believe that was a team that could have won a World Series. We'll never know.
And when they didn't, because of the strike, Tom, they basically dismantled that team.
Yep.
And then the Expos became, for a long time, kind of the farm team for many other teams who needed superstar players. So after that year, the next time they make the playoffs is 2012. They won 98 games that year, and they lost to the Cardinals when the Cardinals scored 4 runs in the 9th inning of Game 5 in just a historic bullpen meltdown. Well, you see the shift. This is where the Reds like to play against Matt Adams. Trying to lay a bunt down right there to maybe get on base here to combat the shift. He did not look comfortable trying to bunt the ball.
He looks comfortable swinging that bat, though. It's a sinking liner into left field, but a home run by Eaton, who's had a monster game today. The kid from Springfield, a 4-hit afternoon. 20,000 fans through the gates and get a Tucker Barnhart Gold Glove bobblehead thanks to our friends at Coca-Cola. See your Reds and the Cardinals April 12th through the 15th for as low as $12. Visit Reds.com for tickets. Strasburg still out there with the ball in hand, 7th inning. And he nearly hit Barnhart with the first pitch. Have a pinch hitter for Bryce next. That's Cliff Pennington standing in the on-deck circle right now. And then Jesse Winker. Barnhart today is grounded out to Adams at first and hit a ball right on the nose of the center fielder Goodwin, who caught it in the 5th. Good breaking ball by Strasburg. Still an excellent pitch count number working into this 7th inning, and that's his 85th pitch of the game. He had to work a little bit in that last inning. Chris made the point before that started. He had only 57 pitches going into the 6th inning. You only wonder what kind of numbers Strasburg will put up if he's able to go out there and take the ball 32, 33, 34 times in a year. We mentioned he's not even hit the 30 number in each of the last 4 seasons. Last year made 28 starts, won 15. Look down the corner, fair ball by Barnhart. Caught a bad break there as it hit right off the corner rather than going down into the right field corner. Hit the corner of the stands, and he's held to a single.
Well, things evening out a little bit for Tucker Barnhart. Hit the ball very sharply as last time up a line drive right to the center fielder. So he gets one inside the bag here.
But Pennington will make his Cincinnati Reds debut. We did not see him yesterday. He's been a regular player at different points in time in his major league career. And hooked to the right side. So welcome to Cincinnati, Cliff Pennington. Reds are trying to make it interesting again here against Strasburg. They loaded the bases with nobody out in the last inning, wound up scoring twice. And you wonder how long Dave Martinez, who's not had to walk to the mound during an inning through the first 2 games of this season to make a pitching change. His 3 relievers all started with clean innings behind Scherzer yesterday. So Lee's down there in the bullpen, ready to go. Saw Kinsler up earlier. Back to the top of the order the Reds go, trying to get back in this thing, trailing by 4. They have the potential tying run standing in the on-deck circle if Winker can reach. Fouled off his foot. Well, Solis is getting ready for the trio of left-handed batters the Reds have stacked up in the middle of this batting order. You figure that Strasburg stays in there to face Winker here, then Suarez more importantly next. Then you have Votto, Jeanette, and Schebler more than likely to face the hard-throwing left-hander Solis. Winker upset with himself there. Felt he had a pretty good hit or a pitch to do some damage on, and fouls it off just behind the plate. Two and two on Winker. 2 on, nobody out. And that one looped into right center field. A base hit. That'll load him up as they hold the runner at third. When you're down by 4, there's no sense in taking a chance of having a runner thrown out of the plate.
Boy, is that a nice adjustment of hitting by Jesse Winker right here. Strasburg going upstairs out of the zone, trying to sneak that one by him, and a little short swing right here by Winker. Just enough to get the bat head on it, enough to get it out of the infield and into a little bit of green spot in short right field.
Here's Suarez with the bases loaded. And nobody out. Second straight inning, the Reds have loaded the bases with none out against Strasburg.
All right, now last time the Reds had the bases loaded against Strasburg, what did he do? He came right out there and pumped fastball after fastball. Up until that point today, he's done a lot of breaking balls, a lot of change-ups, but when it's really time to get it going, he rears back and gives you number 1. That's what he did right there with the first pitch of Suarez. And again.
Suarez today has a single to center field in the first inning, popped up to Adams on a broken bat jam shot in the third. And then he hit that ground ball that looked like a sure double play after a leadoff single by Winker an inning ago, but it was booted by the shortstop. Hardy there on another fastball, 96. Strasburg ahead at 1-2. This figures to be the final batter for this Washington starter. Solis is ready. And the Reds have 3 straight left-handed batters coming up. Started 2. He went.
Pulled the string on him that time. Indeed he did. Had to get his right leg out of the way, and the bat had kind of cleared his body, and that's what gives the umpire a look that he probably went after that first pitch.
So Dave Martinez makes his first trip to the mound as a major league manager, and he will remove Steven Strasburg and bring on the left-hander Sammy Solis. Our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Joey Votto coming up with the bases loaded when we return. In the beautiful new Tundra on display every day at Great American Ballpark, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. All right, Sammy Solis injured the third week of the season last year with elbow inflammation, did not come back until the 1st of July. And I mean, when he came back, he was dominant out of that Nationals bullpen. But he faces Votto with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Well, he's got a great arm. There's no question about that with Solis. The downside for Solis, though, especially in this situation, is that he walks a lot of batters. Walked almost 4.5 batters per 9 innings last year when he did pitch. And who better to take a walk than the guy at the plate for the Reds right now?
Votto has seen Solis in 3 at-bats, and Solis has retired him every time, 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. And quickly ahead of Solis here, 0-2. Scooter Gennett is 1 for 2 in his career. A lot of oohing and ahhing around the ballpark after Quinn Wolcott called that a strike. No argument, at least none appeared to be, from Votto. The Reds' best player in the plate with his team down 4 here in the 7th inning, and the bases loaded. Big chance for Votto and the Reds. Oh my goodness, this time Votto does have something to say. Not a lot. You be the judge.
You know, I think one of the things that made Votto get rung up on that pitch is the way he took that pitch. When you stand straight up like that, it gives the umpire a little expanded part of the upper end of the strike zone. Remember, the strike zone is the top of the shoulders to the belt, the halfway point between the top of the shoulders and the belt. When you stay in your crouch as you're swinging the bat, that is a small strike zone. But when you stand up a little bit, that changes the upper end of that strike zone, and that's probably one reason why he got rung up. Of course, when the pitch is that far on the inner part of the plate, you can't really feel like you're comfortable staying in that crouch.
So now Scooter Gennett with 2 outs and the bases loaded. And that will take care of the Reds. They load him with none out. Strasburg gets it out. Solis takes care of Votto and Gennett. That's good pitching right there by the Nationals. Reds would fall behind 5-0. They got their first run of the year after being shut out yesterday on a home run by Scott Schebler in the 4th. The Nationals would get that run back, however, in the 5th. The Reds had him loaded, scored twice in the 6th, one on a single by Jeanette, who has 5 hits in the first 2 games of this series. But today has belonged to the Springfield, Ohio native via Miami of Ohio University. And that's Adam Eaton. He has a single, a run scored, 2 doubles, a home run, 4 hits, 4 runs scored. And our Humana stat comparison, taking a look at the 1-2 punch of Scherzer and Strasburg. My, oh my, 17 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a total of 1 earned run.
Out of the bullpen, a new pitcher for the Reds, Jackson Stevens, 23-year-old that made the ball club out of spring training.
Popped up into shallow center off the bat of Kendrick, and that's out number 1. Good start for Stevens. Another guy like Bryce who's trying to open some eyes here.
Well, he was up for 7 games last year. We had all those games not out of the bullpen. In fact, he had 4 starts. Stevens did last year.
Couple good ones.
I thought he threw the ball very well.
I mean, look at the opponent batting average here. 209 against him last season.
He did not have a particularly good spring overall compared to some of the other guys. So sometimes when you're trying to evaluate pitchers in Arizona, it's a very difficult thing to do. Thin air, it's dry. It's hard to get your breaking ball going, and that's really his forte, is that big kind of overhand curveball that he throws.
Like that one right there. Here's another guy, really likable guy, Jackson Stevens.
They call him a riverboat gambler.
Yeah, he is. Fly ball down the right field line and Winker over to get it. So that's a nice way to get it started here for Jackson Stevens. 2 quick outs. You know, it doesn't matter what walk of life. There are just some guys that are just so easy going and so easy to like. And I say that again about Steven. He's that kind of a guy. You know, these players, the media's all around him, the fans, and all the attention. And sometimes, you know, you can walk down in that clubhouse, Chris, and you can walk right by 5 or 6 guys. They won't say a word to you. I mean, not a hello, nothing. And, you know, they're entitled to do that, to do whatever they want to do. A guy like Stevens, I mean, you walk by him. Yeah. It's a smile. It's a, hey, how's it going? Hope he does well. We'll see.
That always reminds me of a little story, Tom, where I played it in a clubhouse. Won't name the team or the player. He was a superstar player. He came in and said, hey, I'll tell you what this team is. It's a few superstars like me and so, and it's the rest of you guys just happy to be here. Well, there's some truth to that. So a guy like Stevens, you got to figure he's happy to be here, right? Finally made it to the major leagues last year. He was only 23 years old. He's got a lot of future left.
And you're really not going to tell us who that was. I mean, that's 100 years ago.
That was Reggie Jackson.
Well, that wouldn't surprise anybody who's ever met Reggie Jackson.
And there's some truth to that. When he said it, I realized it immediately. I'm one of those happy to be here guys.
I mean, that's a guy who's always told it like it is, whether you want to hear it or not. And man, when the chips were down, he could deliver the goods, whether you liked him or didn't. And there were a lot of people that did not like Reggie Jackson.
Mr. October.
Yes, indeed. You know, you just go back to the drama of those at-bats over the 2 World Series that he had against Bob Welsh. I mean, that stuff out of a movie. That stuff where you got the hard-throwing kid from Michigan, you know, Eastern Michigan University, Bob Welsh of the Dodgers, and just throwing gas back in those days. Nothing compared to the way they throw now, but, I mean, he was a hot shot kid. And there's a, oh boy, it looked like they had it. Looked like they had him.
A snap throw, a quick tag. It looked like it was very close at first base. Got the call right.
Do you remember the order those went in of those Welsh at bats? You know, one of them, Welsh strikes him out on a high fastball, right?
Yeah.
And then in the other one, it was, if I'm not mistaken, the final home run of a 3-home run game in a World Series game for Reggie Jackson. I can't remember which happened first.
You know, you're going to send me to YouTube tonight. I'm going to go home and have to figure that out.
Man, those at bats, just as a kid, and I was old enough to kind of know, well, you know, some might debate whether you really know what's going on even at 54, but at 15.
No debate about that.
Yeah, that's right. Gosh, was that exciting. And that's when kids, quite honestly, you know, and it's not getting up on a soapbox or anything, but that's when kids could stay up and watch World Series games. Those games were being played in 2 hours and 35 minutes, and they were still playing some day games in the World Series back in those years. Those games now are going 4 hours in the postseason every night, and they're not starting until 8 o'clock at night. One and two to count on Matt Wieters. Joe Luckham, our statistician, reminds me that that was a 1978 World Series. Bob Welch struck out Reggie Jackson to end the game in the bottom of the 12th inning, extra inning game in that one. Bottom of the 9th inning, pardon me, in a 4-3 win. Reggie got a hit off of him 3 days later, and then in the final game when Jackson faced Welsh, he hit the 3rd home run that he hit in that game. Popped up in a short right field, and that ball's going to fall in. So a 2-out bloop single by Wieters will keep the inning alive. Ryan Zimmerman's going to bat for Solis.
A couple of steps back first by Jesse Winker, I think, that caused him not to be able to get in to make that catch. So 2 quick outs for Jackson Stevens, and now runners on the corners.
I know we've been talking about it a little while here. I want to correct what I said. That home run by Jackson off Welsh in the final game of that series was not his 3-home run game. So I beg your pardon. Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Breaking ball and a good one by Stevens. Trying to keep it a 4-run spread. Washington batting in the 8th. Oh, 0-2 on Ryan Zimmerman off the Washington bench, and then hit with a pitch.
Oh, that's too bad. He had him set up. He was trying to come in to get him off the plate a little bit, come back with the next pitch probably to his breaking ball, and never will be able to get there. And of all guys that have to face already, a hitter on the Washington Nationals got four hits on the day. 2 doubles and a home run.
What a day it is for Adam Eaton. He knew he would get one more plate appearance in this game. Even with a 1-2-3 8th inning, he'd have a shot at it in the 9th. Probably didn't foresee batting with the bases loaded here in the 8th, especially after Stevens retired the first 2 batters in the inning. Eaton has never had a 5-hit game. This guy's just another player, and there are a laundry list of outstanding players drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks that they traded away to other organizations. 2 of them we've seen in this series already. Max Scherzer yesterday, #1 pick by the Diamondbacks. Adam Eaton, drafted by the Diamondbacks. But those guys are everywhere all over baseball. One ball and 1 strike to Adam Eaton. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Breaking ball down and in. In fact, today, speaking of the Diamondbacks, just for the record, it was this date exactly 20 years ago they played their first game in franchise history against the Colorado Rockies. Saw those signs all over town when we were out in spring training, and franchise celebrating its 20th year. 2-1 the count on Eaton. And now 2-2 as that one is shot foul. And there's an example of the new rule in Major League Baseball about those protective screens being extended further down to keep line drives like that one from hitting a fan. A year ago, that ball would have gone into the stands.
That may have injured a fan. I think the players like that as well, Tom. I mean, nobody wants to feel like they're responsible for injuring, somebody who came to the ball game to be a spectator.
Big pitch right here for Stevens. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Breaking ball that Eaton does not chase. The count runs full. And the first career 5-hit game for Adam Eaton. He drives in 2 with a broken bat flare to left center field. What a day. 2 singles, 2 doubles, and a home run, and now 3 runs batted in. Young man who grew up less than 2 hours from here. And really bad luck in this inning for Stevens. I mean, look, he hit Zimmerman with 2 on a 2-strike pitch to load the bases in front of Eaton. But he had basically a pop fly into right field that wound up dropping in front of Winker for a single. And now this broken bat floater off the bat of Eaton drives in 2. Number of other games just getting underway around baseball. Indians a 4 spot already. And they're just in the 2nd inning. Cleveland lost its season opener on the road, had an off day yesterday, and back at it here this afternoon. One-two pitch on Anthony Rendon. Fastball, strike 3 called. That will retire the side. But another hit for Eaton, his first career 5-hit game. He knocks in 2. Nationals lead 9-3.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, the Memorial Tournament, the tournament that Jack Nicklaus built, the Columbus native, presented by Nationwide, coming to beautiful Muirfield Village Golf Club. And why not make it a 4-day weekend, May 31st through June the 3rd. Order your badges at memorialbadges.com. First pitch swinging against a new pitcher, Matt Grace, at Chevler, driving the ball the other way. We saw him do that a lot in Arizona this spring. Number of changes, by the way, made for the Nationals as we begin this bottom of the 8th inning. We mentioned Matt Grace is now on the mound. Goodwin started the game in center field, and now he's over in left field, and they bring in their regular center fielder, who started yesterday, and he'll start again tomorrow, Michael Taylor. Matt Grace appeared in a career-high 40 major league games in 2017. Adam Duvall, the batter, looks at a strike. Reds had the bases loaded, down by 4 when they came to the plate 1 inning ago. But Strasburg struck out Suarez. This ball a towering drive to straightaway center field. And that's off the glove of Taylor and over the wall. 2-run home run by Duvall. Boy, is he strong. That's 3 batted in today in the first start of this young season for Adam Duvall.
Well, they face the left-hander right here, and he gets a fastball up, and he just kind of goes with that pitch. Michael Taylor, for a moment, looked like he had a chance to bring that ball back.
Did that end up hitting his glove?
It did.
I thought it did. Two batters, 2 hits, 2 runs since Grace comes into the game, and once again the Reds find themselves down by 4. After that strikeout of Suarez by Strasburg, Solis came in, struck out Votto, and got Jeanette on a comebacker to the mound. Then the lead went back to 6 before this. Just out of the reach of Taylor. You know, it's only the 2nd game of the season, but when you just watch the body language of Jose Peraza, it's screaming at you that this young man needs to start getting some hits. Comebacker to the mound for the first out.
Well, I think, Tom, what people saw down in spring training was an improved Jose Peraza. And they're hoping that he continues to improve offensively. Still only 23 years old. So I think a lot of people around the Reds organization feel it's just simply too early to give up on him. However, he's being pushed because the Reds' best prospect, Nick Senzel, played a lot of shortstop down in spring training. He'll be playing second base at AAA Louisville, but more or less in an effort to get him familiar with a lot of different positions around the infield. And you know, when you're in an infielder and you're not hitting and it goes over an extended period of time and the best prospect is an infielder as well, that gives you some extra motivation.
Barnhart gone on strikes, 2 away in the inning. Phillip Ervin will come to the plate. He had a nice plate appearance yesterday. Came on late in the 9th inning, had an extended at bat, wound up drawing a walk. Following each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, make sure to stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll have a complete recap, interviews from the locker room, everything going on. You know, Chris, you and I don't make personnel decisions up here, that's obvious, and have no input whatsoever in any form or fashion. But I got to be honest with you, when I look at the way the Reds outfield situation is so far and the way they're starting this thing, I don't know why Irvin's not at least involved in a little bit more of the conversation. I mean, I know he's had his ups and downs in the minor leagues, but every one of the players outside of Duvall, the other 3 that are in the part of this rotation with Hamilton, Schebler, and now Winker, clearly all of those guys have some strengths, but all of those guys also have some weaknesses. And I don't know if one guy's strengths outside of just Billy Hamilton's pure speed, I don't know if the other guy's necessary strengths are so overwhelming to not at least put this guy into the conversation.
Well, I think it's a tough decision that the Reds have had to make. I mean, and that's a credit to Ervin, but it is difficult enough to find playing time for 4 outfielders, much less trying to work a 5th guy in there. So, you know, he's a young guy. He's got a lot of future ahead of him. He's just kind of feeling his way through the major leagues early in his career. I think every at bat that he gets, every opportunity he gets, he needs to kind of seize that opportunity.
Well, it's now a second day in a row where he's had an extended at bat, seen a lot of pitches, fouled off some pitches.
I think you play yourself into those situations where you're going to get some consideration.
Well, we thought so last year. I mean, when the guy had the monster 2 days, remember, and he hits his first home runs in Chicago, and then the next day he's not even in the lineup. And Irvin gone swinging, and that will end the inning. Go to the ninth. 9-5 Nationals. Three games tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, with the Cubs in town. Will receive a 2018 magnetic schedule and car magnet thanks to PNC Bank. If you'd like tickets, call 381-REDS or visit reds.com. And we invite you to get ready for each of the next 3 nights if you're not coming down here. On Fox Sports Ohio with Reds Live 30 minutes before the start of every game right here on Ray St. Clair Roofing. Probables for tomorrow, the left-hander Gio Gonzalez. Look at that ERA, number 3 starter in their rotation. Been around a long time. And a very talented, hard-throwing young right-hander Sal Romano who started for the Redlegs. Kevin Quackenbush came on strong during spring training. Earned his way onto this team. He came in and made his Reds debut yesterday. Allowed 1 hit, retired 2 batters and no runs. Broken bat pop up by Harper. And Schebler over to run it down, 1 away. Matt Adams is 1 hit today, but it was a big one in the first inning with 2 aboard, a long home run, 460 feet to the deepest part of right center field. That was against the starter Luis Castillo, who lasted 5 innings today, allowed 6 hits and 6 earned runs. Strasburg goes 6 1/3, allows 8 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned. And right now he is the pitcher of record, as is Castillo on the other side. And there's ball 4 to Adams. Kendrick 1 of 4 in the game, had a single back in the 6th inning. Astros have jumped in front of the Rangers today, 3-0 that game in the 3rd. Blue Jays at home, a 2-0 lead over the Yankees that game in the bottom of the 3rd. And the Angels a 3-spot early on in Oakland. They've gone to the top of the 3rd there. Swing and a miss. 0-2 on Kendrick. The Pirates and the Tigers were rained out today. And because obviously that's an interleague series, they have decided they're going to play a doubleheader tomorrow in Detroit. Looked like he went around, but on the appeal, no, says Marvin Hudson. And then after the doubleheader, the Pirates are going to fly home and have their home opener on Monday afternoon. So they will play roughly 3 games in a little more than 27 hours.
It's American Legion tournament schedule right there.
That's right. Base hit into center field off the bat of Howie Kendrick, his 2nd hit in 5 at bats today.
Pretty good adjustment right there by Kendrick. Quackenbush is trying to get him out. Fastballs up. He threw one by him. He threw one on a check swing. Thought he had him struck out, and he brought that one down just a little bit. And Kendrick was there to greet him with the sweet part of the bat. Here's a guy you do not want to pitch up and in.
Trey Turner looks at ball 1. You know, you've either got to be a guy who, well, number one, has that MLB extra innings package. That's first and foremost. Number 2, or MLB.TV or something along those lines. Got to be a guy who maybe has a job that allows you to stay up very late to watch a lot of West Coast baseball. If you're really able to follow the career of Howie Kendrick, I mean, this guy has just had an outstanding career, and the overwhelming majority of it was spent with the Angels. Great in the clubhouse, excellent leader. You start looking up some of his numbers over the long haul, and there aren't many guys around outside of, you know, surefire Hall of Fame kind of guys that have had a much better career than Kendrick. Career .290 batter. Closing in on 1,600 career hits. Played in over 1,400 games. Well, he played on some really good teams here with the Angels for a while, too.
He sure did. I mean, early in his career, it was a cinch he was going to hit 300. Last year, he hit over 300 for the first time in about 10 years. He's been around a long time. 12-year major league career. Over 1,400 games.
Mm-hmm. And he's a perfect example. Look, all of us when we're in our 20s and, you know, maybe things in your career rolling along, and you know, you got to obviously compare a player's career is short, it's young, and, you know, maybe, you know, you're so consumed with everything going on around and it's all about me and all those kinds of things, and that's easy to happen in any walk of life. But Kendrick was always a guy, and it's played out now in his latter stages of his career. He's always been a good guy, easy to like in the clubhouse, good leader, kept his mouth shut most of the time. And now he recognizes he's probably a 3 or 4 day a week player. But he keeps playing because he loves the game, and people are eager to give him a job. Here's ball 4 to Turner, and they are loaded with 1 out. So Quackenbush, who's thrown the ball so well all spring, all of a sudden is having a tough time finding the strike zone. He's walked 2 of the last 3. And here's Goodwin. Two and oh. Got a crowd of nearly 28,000 here today, and the overwhelming majority of them have hit the road. Had a lot of youngsters here today on Kids Opening Day. Big parade right along the banks outside the ballpark. The entire uniform personnel of the Reds made their way through that parade. That's a great event they started here just the last couple of years, having an opening day for the kids. 3-0. Goodwin thinking that was ball 4 and a run batted in via the walk. No dice. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. Nationals with a 9-5 lead. And they'll add to it. On this drive to straightaway center field, they'll tack on 4. A grand slam to straightaway center field by Brian Goodwin. And that makes it a 13-5 Washington lead.
Probably happy that 3-1 pitch was called a strike. Kevin Quackenbush getting an idea of how small this ballpark plays compared to Petco.
It's the first career grand slam for Brian Goodwin. And after that grand slam, the fans that were still here starting to get a little bit thinner. Calling for rain late in the afternoon or early this evening. Hopefully we can still sneak in the conclusion of this one. There's still only 1 out in the inning. And of course tonight will be the NCAA basketball tournament's Final 4. I'm amazed you had Illinois Chicago in your Final 4 in that bracket you filled out, Chris Welsh. You are on your game.
Well, when you fill out 2,000.
Loyola. I said Illinois Chicago. Loyola Chicago. Forgive me. You did have Illinois Chicago and they weren't in the tournament. Now, do you like their Cinderella run to continue today in Game 1 against the University of Michigan?
Michigan's a good team.
Yes, they are.
I can't predict where that run is.
Well, I know. Look, we're down to the Final 4. I mean, come on.
I mean, I hope it does. I mean, all the stories surrounding Loyola are just such a feel-good thing. I like to sit back and enjoy the games. Especially now that my bracket has been torn up and thrown into the trash can, like probably 95% of everybody
Absolutely.
else's.
Although the other game tonight, I think a lot of people had that matchup.
Yeah.
Where they still did have Kansas to face Villanova. I'm going to get your predictions on both of those games. We have a pitching change with 2 outs in the 8th. The ninth. Michael Taylor, the batter, and taking over on the mound to try and get the final out in this 8-run game here in the 9th inning is Jared Hughes, and he'll do that on 1 pitch. How about that? That's getting it done. So Hughes gets the final out. And the Reds will bat in the bottom of the 9th inning after the grand slam by Goodwin, 13-5. Via Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Players walking the red carpet today on opening day for the kids. I mean, take a look at that. Next year, if you're able, come on down for this very special day. It's a ball. And the Reds really do it right.
You know, and the players really do a good job cooperating. The Reds have asked the players to do a lot of different things, Tom, and these guys really go out of their way to try to make everybody who's a Reds fan feel like it's a good thing to be a Reds fan.
Indeed.
Eddie Romero's the left-hander coming in. A couple of years in Tampa Bay, got traded over here last year in February before the season began. A deal that included Jeffrey Rosa. Right now,
Wilmer Defoe takes over, pardon me, Chris, at second base.
Yeah, the Nationals have 8 bullpen relievers. And it's a question around the Nationals ball club whether they're going to continue with an 8-man bullpen or whether they're going to, which means you're 1 man short on the bench. You only have 4 bench players. Or whether at some point you're going to go ahead and get down to the normal 7, if you want to call that normal. And one of the left-handers that we've seen today are probably one of the guys on the bubble. Solis, Grace, or Romero.
Well, after watching the spot they brought in Solis today, he would figure to be the 3rd member of that group. Don't you think?
Did a nice job.
Two-hit game today for Winker in 4 at-bats. Singled and scored in the 6th and then had a base hit in the 7th. That's when the Reds had a real legitimate chance to get back into this thing. They were down by 4. They had the bases loaded with nobody out. And that was the inning where, as Winker draws a walk, so the 3rd straight time he's reached base safely. And that's why he's in that leadoff role. The Reds believe he's capable of getting on base regularly enough that they're putting him there rather than the games Billy Hamilton starts.
Yeah, it used to be, Tom, that you put the fastest guy on your team lead off because you thought you get on and you steal second, you steal third, you bring him in. But of course, ever since they started looking at on base percentage more and more, without even getting technical on analytics, I mean, you don't have to even, you don't need a calculator to figure out how many times the guy walks and hits together. But he fits that bill so far.
All right, I want to go back before we went to the commercial break really quick, because after all, it is 13-5 as Suarez fouls it away and it's 1-1. Your predictions on the 2 NCAA tournament semifinal games tonight. Only need the answers. Michigan v. Loyola Chicago.
My predictions, I'm not in the business of predictions anymore.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yep. I figured it was time for a change.
Oh my gosh.
How about you?
Well, I know I'm rooting for, so I'm going to pick them. I'm taking Loyola Chicago.
Okay.
I'm rooting for them to win tonight.
Yep. So am I.
And I believe Villanova, and I'm rooting for them to win the other game. So you're really not, I mean, I'm the only one here. I got to go down to Jim Day and maybe ask him, although he's already on the set, ready for the post-game show.
Well, you can ask him in the post-game.
Who are you rooting for? How about that? Can I ask you that?
I'm rooting for Loyola.
All right, what about the other game?
Yeah, same as you.
Okay.
Villanova.
Oh, boy. That's hit a long, long way by Suarez, and that makes it a 13-7 game. 2-hit game today. And the first home run in 2018 by the man the Reds gave a 7-year contract to during spring training. This will be our Miller Lite Hold True moment. First home run for AU Haniel Suarez, a silver fox with that new hairdo and hair color he's sporting.
Hanging slider.
Were you the lead he was trying to follow when he went with this silver hair color? You have to admit, that looks a little bit like yours.
It's a good look. I wish I could hit like that.
I wish I had that much hair. Starting to border on a mullet there.
I mean, really solid guy.
Yeah.
Reds gave him a long-term contract in spring training. Keep him around for what, 7-year contract?
7 years. Now there you get a look at it. I mean, I really believe that you were the creative design behind this change. Take a look at that.
It's amazing what you talk about in the 9th inning, down by 6.
Well, unfortunately, the last couple of years, we've had a turn or two to practice this.
Yeah. The add-on runs today. I mean, yeah. You know, Brian Price is going to look up and say, hey, you know, we scored 7 runs, and we're not even in the ball game here. I mean, this isn't really the way he expected this ball game to go. You run Luis Castillo out there, you're figuring you're going to get a pretty good performance out of him. Wasn't his day. But it was the add-on runs given up by the bullpen. You know, 1 in the 7th on a home run, 2 in the 8th, and that 4 spot in the 9th.
You know, it always reminds me, and you could apply it really to any walk of life or a number of professions, but you know, your friend, your good friend and my good friend, Bob Brindley, used to say something that I never forgot when I was working with him all the years. And you'd see guys in batting practice hitting home runs and putting on a show and oohs and ahs from the crowd and all that kind of thing. And I'd say, man, this guy's not going to cover off the ball. He'd look at you deadpan, be totally serious, and he'd say, what time is it? And you'd be like, what? He'd say, what time is it? It's 4:40.
Yeah.
He said, well, let's see what happens starting at 7:10. And really the same is true about baseball. You know, in this game right here, despite the fact that all those tack-on runs you're talking about, and the fact that the Reds, yeah, they do have 7 runs. But what did you do when you had a chance to legitimately get back into the game? You had an inning go by where you had the bases loaded in the heart of the order coming up, and you don't score. So you say to yourself, well, yeah, you got 7, but when did you get them? Now, giving them up is a whole different animal. But the Reds could have very much been in this game, if not tied the game or taken the lead. And you might have seen some different guys now coming out of the bullpen. Mets, by the way, finished off the Cardinals. So the Cardinals have started this season 0-2. They've run into Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom the first 2 games of that series, and they'll see Steven Matz tomorrow. And I believe the Cardinals then continue on the road in their schedule. I think, I could be wrong. I think they are the home opener for the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll take a look at that. Brewers are wrapping up their series in San Diego on Easter Sunday tomorrow. Liner, and the runner back in time. So the Reds are down to their final out of the afternoon, trailing 13-7. And we're having another pitching change in the 9th inning with 2 outs.
Up by 6.
All right, so we'll take a commercial timeout and be right back. Grew up just down the road, went to Tate's Creek High School, and then later attended the University of Kentucky. He was the Gatorade Kentucky High School Player of the Year in 2010. That's right-hander Trevor Gott. Came over in a trade in 2015 from the Angels of Anaheim for Yunel Escobar. So Gott getting a chance to pitch as close as he's going to get to his hometown here today. Adam Duvall struck out each of his first 2 times today, but then he knocked in a run with a sac fly in the 2-run 6th inning and hit a 2-run home run off Matt Grace in the 8th.
Well, this matchup right here with Trevor Gott, a former University of Kentucky Wildcat, versus Adam Duvall, a University of Louisville Cardinal. Those 2 teams, Kentucky and Louisville, will be going at it this week.
And that'll wrap this one up 13-7. The Nationals win it, so they've won the first 2 games of this 2018 season here at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Reds Live is right around the corner right here on Fox Sports Ohio.